Hi everyone, we are RHO Therapeutics from the Department of Bioengineering at the University of Pennsylvania, and today you'll be hearing from me, Jenny, as well as my teammates, David, Patty, Kelly, and Ethan. So RHO stands for Robotic Hand Orthosis, and our product focuses on chronic stroke rehabilitation. Meet Fox, a chronic stroke patient that we've had the pleasure of working with since the beginning of the year. Fox unfortunately experienced his first stroke in 2008 and has experienced strokes ever since then. At the time, his rehabilitation program focused on gross motor movements like walking and lifting his arm, and currently he's doing therapy exercises at home, such as repeatedly squeezing rubber balls, as well as grasping and moving objects across the table. However, Fox expresses a desire to do fine motor movements like buttoning his shirt and combing his hair independently. Unfortunately, Fox is one of the 800,000 people in the United States each year that experience strokes. Of that 800,000, approximately 25% experience chronic strokes. Current rehabilitative solutions are described as boring, non-engaging, and expensive, all of which decrease patient compliance to their rehabilitation program. For example, for the first year of outpatient rehabilitation, an uninsured patient paid an average of $17,000 out of pocket, according to a 2010 study. Current rehabilitation options are costly, with many options being over $350 out of pocket. Take the StableFlex, for example. The mode of actuation is through springs, which is more rudimentary and provides non-adjustable support to the patient. It has no video game component, but it's still $600. The competitor that is similar to us, the Music Glove, has a video game component, but it's still actuated by springs, and it costs $350. Our solution will be approximately $125, and there's a motor actuated game. Patty will now go into more detail about our solution.
Repeative movements in therapy help the patient reestablish communication pathways between the damaged parts of the brain and the body. So essentially, through repeated physical movement, the patient is able to rebuild the electrical connection to the brain that causes fine motor movement without the use of electrical stimulus. So in order to meet all of the needs that Jenny has specified, we created a low-cost product that includes an engaging rehabilitative aid inspired by Guitar Hero. Through the school year, our proof of concept started with the glove that had no electrical components. We then created a motor-powered glove and a separate game. This led us to our current product, a motor-actuated glove with an interactive game. The game will determine which finger on the glove the motor should move based off of the note key that is displayed, similar to Guitar Hero. This note key corresponds to a finger. This information will be sent to the Arduino microcontroller, which will then power the motor to move the corresponding finger. Kelly will now go into more detail about how the glove was designed.
So in order to create these tendon-like features on our glove, we attached a fishing line that's encased in tubing, which runs along the palm and the fingers. And we intentionally left out the pinky finger since it's not a major contributor to fine motor movements. The fishing line is coiled and uncoiled by the motor to create a finger flexion and extension. The glove is attached to the compression armband. The armband is wrapped around the platform, and together this creates a stable device that can be easily clamped to any table. The motors are on the underside of the platform. They're kept in place by this compression armband, and the stabilized motors can then securely pull on the fishing line to close the fingers. This is what our prototype looked like before attaching to the platform. We're holding the motors in place, but in this clip, we are verifying that the motors are able to flex the fingers of the glove on its own. On the red light, you can see that it indicates that the device is on. In our prototype, we integrated the safety switch, and this can easily turn the entire device off if needed. So now that we've talked through how the glove works, I'm going to talk a little bit about the game in the play area. So there's two components, the computer game and the play area. And the play area is where the force-sensitive resistors are located. And when the sensors detect the force, this will cause the note key to be played on the game. In this video, we will demo our game modes. This is the fine motor mode, and the notes move down the screen, and once they reach the playing field, the motors will begin to flex individual fingers. We also have a grasp mode. The notes move down in a similar manner, but all of the fingers will flex. As you can see, the notes are moving down together. We also added an additional feature where you can select which preloaded song you would like to play. In this demo, we're playing a Britney Spears song, but you can also switch the song to The Baby's Boss. In this GIF is our final product. We have successfully integrated the glove in the game, and you can see as the red note approaches the playing area, the index finger is flexed by the motors.
One of the game features is a difficulty system. We will increase or decrease the difficulty of the game based on the criteria shown in the table. If the patient is not meeting the expectations, then we will decrease the difficulty. If the patient is exceeding expectations, we will increase the difficulty such that the patient is always working towards their rehabilitative goals. There's also a song selection feature to increase patient engagement since they will be playing songs based on their interests. As mentioned before, there are also two modes to the game, grasp mode as well as fine motor mode, so that the patient can work towards both of their goals of whole hand motion as well as individual finger motion. At the end of the session, the information about the score, individual finger scores, as well as the grasp mode scores, and time and date of the session can be sent to a healthcare professional, whether it be their healthcare provider or a physical therapist. We expect that the patient plays the game once a day for at least 15 minutes, and expected progress will vary based on the patient, but we expect to see some progress within patients from a range of 1 month to 6 months. Overall, we've met all of the expectations that were set about the video game, as well as added different grasp modes. Next, David will explain our testing and validation procedures.
Our testing and validation falls into 3 categories: practical, clinical, and kinematic specifications. Practical specs measure things that impact daily use, like battery life, weight of the glove, and cost. For clinical specs, we send out a survey to medical professionals in stroke rehab and ask them to evaluate the ease of use and clinical feasibility of our device. Kinematic specifications measure how our glove moves in time and space. To clarify our kinematic specifications, we use video analysis to measure the bending angles of 3 joints in the fingers, the MCP, PIP, and DIP joints. These joint angles are used as a standard in the literature to compare progress for regaining fine motor movement. Grasp frequency measures how fast the hand can open and close. Our practical specifications exceed the minimum requirements. Glove weight is light enough to not impede hand movements. The battery life can last the duration of a typical rehab session of at least 15 minutes, and the cost is affordable compared to competitors. However, our kinematic specifications only partially meet minimum requirements. Specifically, the MCP angle and the grasp frequency are still too low. These specifications are important because the hand should fully close at a speed that replicates daily life in order to properly retrain muscle groups for rehabilitation. On the left are average data of a healthy subject's joint angles during fully assisted flexion over 10 trials. The shaded regions represent 95% confidence bands. As the motors turn and the hand closes, we see a steady rise in each angle as expected. The MCP angle, represented by the blue curve, approaches but does not cross the minimum threshold. However, our device does meet the angle requirements for the green and orange joints and is therefore able to partially rehabilitate fine motor movement in a clinical setting. We also met our goal to provide a low-cost option for rehabilitation, which was to be under $175. The cheapest option with the video game is the music glove at $350, and we aim to cut those costs in half. Altogether, the device only costs $124, which is significantly lower than existing options on the market.
Our survey was answered by 8 respondents, ranging from occupational therapists to chronic stroke researchers. They rated statements on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. On average, the experts were optimistic about our design. We received a 4 out of 5 stars for potential and 3.75 stars out of 5 for attractiveness and appropriateness. In our future steps, we're hoping to upgrade our battery from a 12-volt to a 20-volt battery to solve the actuation frequency and the MCP joint angle issues that David mentioned. We also have expressed interest from several rehabilitative clinicians to test our products on their patients. In summary, our device offers an innovative approach to stroke rehabilitation. Our device promises a low-cost solution that is both portable and lightweight and has a rehabilitative aid to increase patient interest while allowing them to exercise fine motor movements. We could not accomplish this without our mentors, which are listed here, and the Stephenson Foundation Bioengineering Educational Laboratory and Biomakerspace within Penn Engineering. Through our device, we hope that we can transform perspectives of stroke from a life-altering disease to an obstacle that can be overcome through rehabilitation. Thank you for listening, and we are RHO Therapeutics.